Hey everyone, it's Jonah Vale, one of the Bless Online emissaries that went to the press event. Recently, I've kind of just been decompressing from the event. I've, it was hectic, it was crazy, it was all over the place. I kind of wanted to do. Some people have detailed a lot of information from the press release, like Karth and Wizra, and Sir Medieval did a really good recap of a bunch of questions. This video is not going to be a recap of questions. Other people have done it already. It's been done better than I would do it. I want you to go check out their videos if that's what you're looking for. I wanted to give a video more about the general feel of the event, and some pros and cons with the event itself, and then a little bit of predictions from myself based on the event, and what potential issues I see there could be with the release of Bless Online, and some of their plans, just based on the information we got. So let's start off with the cons. Things I would have done differently at the event. They had a multitude of PCs set up to handle all of the streamers. There was only 2 PCs that had OBS set up on them, and they slotted us out in 20-minute slots on those PCs. That was not enough time for anyone to really get a feel for it, and we also had to stop our phone streams, and kind of cycle in and out, and all the characters were in the middle of nowhere. It looked like the world wasn't fully spawned, and fast travel, because we didn't do the quest, wasn't enabled, so we couldn't get to zones where there was content for us to do around our leveling gear. So I definitely would have given us characters that had followed the quest line. I don't know if that was possible they could do that, but in zones that were near monsters that were around our level, at least, so we could show something a little more competitive. And I wouldn't have had only 2 PCs able to stream. Now look, I understand the hotel we were at, their internet connection probably couldn't handle all of us streaming at the same time, but I would have probably had an official Bless stream where there was two official Bless streams, maybe, where there was the streamers could slot in and out on that stream, so people could sit there the whole time and interact with the different streamers, not on their own stream, so we wouldn't be plugging ourselves, which is fine, because all the publicity that most of us got, some of the people there were bigger names, but some of the smaller guys like myself, it was cool having 1,500 people in my stream, but those weren't people there that were there for me. They were there to look at Bless, right? At the end of the day, they were there to look at Bless. I think it just would have been better for everyone if there was an official stream that people could have just stayed at, as opposed to hopping around from phone stream to phone stream, from different gameplay stream to different gameplay stream. It just made it a little chaotic, not only for us content creators, emissaries, but for the people watching. I think the people watching got kind of a rough look at what was going on at the event, and this is one of the signs, or one of the symptoms, of a developer publishing their own game, guys. All this stuff would have been handled by a publishing company, because they were doing it themselves. This is their first time doing this. This is what happened. So I think people need to look at this event with a pitcher of salt, and which they already have, obviously, but just taking. Let's not take that for granted. They're publishing their own game. This is stuff that would have been handled by a publisher. So everything I say probably would have been remedied by having a publisher there. Okay. Secondly, I tried out a ranger and a mage. Okay, the mage is the one I tried out in the level 37 dungeon they put us in. And I also would like to preface, I played the Japanese server quite a bit. At least 3 weeks I was streaming the Japanese server. On the Japanese server, you auto attack to regain energy, whereas on the new combat system, they've removed auto attacks. There's abilities that are on the bar that look like what my auto attack used to look like. They don't give energy back. I had asked the devs, what was leading to me going out of mana so quickly, because it felt very clunky in that regard. I was told to stance swap while I was playing the character. I did stance swap. The regen felt very minor. I'm talking like 8% of my bar on a stance swap that had like an 8-second cooldown. It just wasn't enough to outweigh how much mana I was using. Um, I could have been doing something wrong, obviously. You know, again, we didn't have a lot of time to sit there and dissect it. I was also told from the CEO and the devs that we were given characters that weren't fully leveled up at their level. Like they didn't have parameters, which are like passives added to abilities. So basically, you know, maybe I could have gotten some mana regen passives or something like that. So, you know, again, my representation of what happened could be completely off, but it felt like we weren't given proper characters to test the game with. I think they kind of just spawned some characters and gave us gear, and you know, it wasn't the best representation of the combat, the characters, or for us to test it in. So again, I would have made sure that the characters were in locations that they needed to be at to fight the proper content. I would have made sure that they had all the proper skills they needed and passives that made sense, so that way it didn't feel clunky. At least on the mage, a lot of people are enjoying the berserker, but that's definitely what I felt. I felt like I was given a half-loaded gun, and it wasn't firing properly. The third thing I wanna list as a con for the event is we were allowed to interview the devs. Each of us as emissaries was allowed to interview the devs and record it. But instead, we, you know, this was all separate outside, so each of us came in separately to ask questions, and there was a translator for each panel. There was two groups of devs that we were talking to, and each of us got to talk to one of them. And I'm sure we all repeated a lot of similar questions because a lot of our communities are asking, is it going to be pay to win? What's in the premium cash shop? Is there going to be fishing? You know, all these very similar questions, and instead they had to repeat themselves, and maybe we all got different answers due to translation. You know, maybe information was fractured by that. I would have preferred we had an open Q&A panel where all the community or emissaries got, you know, all their most frequently asked questions together. We, you know, got rid of any redundant questions, and then we just gave them a list of questions, and then they answered it to all of us in a room, like the PowerPoint presentation. And then I wish that was streamed on an official Bless stream. I think that would have cleared a lot of the air. It would put a lot of people that were watching be like, oh, this is biased. This dude's just this dude's in their pocket. This dude was bought out, blah, blah, blah. You know, Reddit trolls are going to troll regardless. But I feel like they were given too much ammunition. Do you know what I mean? There was too much there that was in gray area. There was too much lost in translation. There was not enough direct answers because maybe the people we were talking to, like the CMs, they weren't given specific information themselves, and that's not their fault. You know, that would be on the communication between the devs and the CMs. But I feel like they needed a list. They knew the questions they were going to be getting. You know, what's in the cash shop, what's in the premium subscription, but what are the big differences in the packs, like the $200 pack? Like, are they getting a founder base pack? Are they getting a head start pack? You know, they got a lot of similar questions from a lot of people, and I feel like an open QA panel with an official stream would have done a lot of good for the event and for the community and the game as a whole. So those are the three biggest cons I could do about the event itself. You know, I think it was amazing. I'm gonna be honest with you, it was the first time I've personally been invited as a broadcaster to an event like that. So yeah, I'm not going to sit here and lie and say I wasn't just a little bit caught up in the moment. 100% was. You know, I was streaming from my phone. I had 1,500 people spamming my chat. It was poggers, y'all. It was fucking poggers. So I wasn't able to, you know, get all the information I wanted to get. I wasn't able to answer everyone's questions because it was just so hectic. I wasn't able to play the characters the way I wanted to play them to figure out what I wanted to figure out. It was just, you know, it was very hectic, and you know, I was definitely caught up in the moment, and I wasn't able to do what I really set out there to do, and I feel like that happened to a lot of the other emissaries. Some of the other guys have been through this rodeo before, so they were a little more rehearsed for it, a little well versed. But you know, it was my first time doing one of these, and I promise the next time I go to an event like this, I'm gonna, you know, have a plan down and know what I need to get out of the event before I go there, as opposed to just fucking you know, getting flown out and just going around all googly eyed. That being said, the positive things from the event. Although we weren't given a lot of direct answers on a lot of things, the devs, the CMs, the CMs' faith in the devs, you could feel that. I could feel that they believed in the CMs about it not being pay to win, about their vision of the game. I could feel when I was talking to the guys that they felt very genuine. I could feel their passion for their game. Now, I know everyone's gonna be like, oh, it failed all these other times and these other regions and blah, blah, blah. But look, here's some facts, guys. It failed in other regions. They didn't publish it in those other regions. They have decided to publish it themselves after it's failed in these other regions. It already has a bad stigma to it. They haven't tried to rename it or anything like that. They've redone it for the Western population because the Western population had such an outcry about the combat. They focused mostly on the combat. And I feel like they want this to be a game that people play for a while. And I've seen a lot of videos come out, and a lot of content creators are saying, you know, if we get a month or two out of it, that's a success. And I feel like that's shitty. I feel like we, as consumers of video games, should not be content with an MMO giving us 2 months of content and us accepting that as a success. I feel like the industry has shifted, and we're all just, you know, as content creators, we're just going to hop on the next train in a month or two, get the hype train, and then go to the next one. And that's just sad. You know, I come from Ultima Online as my first MMO that I played, and I played the shit out of that game for fucking 7 years. Okay, 7 years I played that game. And granted, I went to different emulator servers, you know, that had different aspects of it, but it, you know, I'm used to games that have a lot of replayability, and I'm used to games that promote a lot of organic content between players, and I feel like we as consumers need to stop accepting a month or two as a success. I don't feel like that's a success, and I feel like the only way it won't be a success in the future is if, you know, we stop accepting that stuff as a success. So I'm getting off on a little tangent here, but I think Bless could be a game that lasts, you know, the same type of length that BDO has so far. And a lot of people are going to give me crap for that comment, but BDO is doing well. Yeah, it's a grind game. Yeah, people log in and kill the same mobs over and over again, but the fact remains that game has a very solid population. It's very healthy, and a lot of streamers have made careers off of that game, killing the same mobs over and over again. So the facts remain. BDO is a success. Okay, it's one of the most successful MMOs out right now. You know, not bringing World of Warcrafts. I feel like Bless could do the exact same thing. It remains to be seen. It definitely remains to be seen. Another positive from the event: the devs want to have an open line of communication with us as emissaries. You know, so there's a lot of guys here with big communities, big audiences on YouTube. They want us to be able to have a direct line of contact with them for issues we see in the game, and that's kind of unheard of. You know, if all of our communities are, you know, saying, hey, this is a problem, this needs to be changed, they promise that that's stuff they're going to work on. That's stuff that's going to get thrown to the front of the pipeline. If it's, you know, a bunch of communities, not just like, I'm not just saying one emissary has priority over another, but if it's a thing that a lot of emissaries are seeing an issue with, they're going to work with us on it. And that's huge. I've never seen a game company try to be that open with the people that are going to be promoting the game and with the communities in general. And I think people need to stop looking as like, oh, the emissaries are in their pocket and stuff like that. No, the emissaries have big audiences of people that come to them for information on games, or watch them play games, or play games with these emissaries, and they will be able to get a good snapshot of the population playing this game. Doesn't mean that only emissaries' opinions matter, so don't take it as that, but it does mean that they're going to be able to get a good chunk of information to themselves, streamlined from emissaries, you know, all the time. And I think that's going to be a very positive thing. It could also be a negative thing though, right, guys? Like if, you know, the emissaries all feel one way, but the majority of the population and its game feels another way, you know, that could be a bad thing. I don't think that's going to happen though. Most of the emissaries have a solid head on their shoulders. And I don't think we're all going to be too off key with each other. Some of us want different things, obviously. But I feel like we're all going to be able to recognize issues, and our communities will recognize issues, and we'll be able to relay that to them. Another positive thing I got from the event and playing the game was how good the game felt. It felt very smooth. There was no stuttering. Granted, we were on the Virginia servers, the actual Amazon servers, but they had, the world was not fully spawned, okay? And we only had like 20 people logged in on it. So maybe that's why it felt good. I'm taking that with a grain of salt as well. You know, we'll have to see how it is with thousands of people logged in and the world being completely built, okay? But as it was at that event, the game felt fucking phenomenal. It felt amazing. It looked really, really, really solid. The animations look great. I like the GUI. Apparently there was a leak with the old GUI and that was causing optimization issues, so that's been remedied. But again, you know, this is a snapshot of it. We'll have to see when it launches. Another positive I got from the event was just the customization that looks like we're going to have to be available with the 3 different trees. You know, the stance skills, the non-stance skills, the parameters. I didn't get enough time to fucking really jump into that, but it did look like we're going to have a lot of options to customize our characters, which I think is a big deal because we're only going to have 5 classes available at the start of the game. So that's a big deal. Being able to diversify your playstyle from other people's playstyles of the same class. You know, I'm excited to see how everyone plays their own class and how people are going to, you know, differentiate their playstyles and who stands out. And, you know, there's always going to be a meta, right? But it's going to be interesting to see at the beginning who's developing that meta and who's coming up with the meta ideas. And so that pretty much covers the event. The guys were all great. They took us out to dinner. I really enjoyed my time. I enjoyed meeting the other emissaries. It was a blast for me. And I just want to thank NeoWiz for bringing myself and the others out. I want to thank the people that joined in on the stream and watched and were asking questions, interacting with the channel, and, you know, following. All that stuff is great. But now I would like to talk about some of my concerns for the launch of the game based on the press event. My main concerns is, like many, we can't pre-download the game. We can't pre-download the game, and this is something apparently to do with Steam. I feel like it's going to be a 50 gig file or something of that sort. That's a huge issue if we can't pre-download it. And you know, again, it means that not everyone can get into the server at the same time, so maybe that's a good thing. But I see issues with us not being able to pre-download the game. Another thing I see there being issues with is the fact that we're not stress testing these servers ahead of time. Yeah, they're Amazon servers. Yeah, they felt really good in a, you know, an empty world, but how are these servers going to feel with their code? You know, with thousands and thousands of people in the same area doing the same quests, right? That's going to be the true test. And I feel like without a proper stress test, you know, we're kind of rolling the dice here. And I've never had an MMO launch be solid, guys. I haven't seen that yet. I've been waiting for that. That shit just doesn't happen. So I'm expecting hiccups, you know, and I think anyone going to this not expecting hiccups is just setting themselves up for disappointment. And that's, I guess, what I'm worried about the most, is that the MMO genre, the people that play the MMO genre, they are abused at this point. They've been lied to a lot. They've been fed bullshit and, you know, have it go the other way, and they have a right to be jaded and negative. They do. And I feel like if the launch day or the first couple launch days or even the launch week, it just, you know, has a bunch of server issues, or, you know, there's a bunch of issues going on, I feel like people are going to toss the game and not give it a fair shot. And I'm going to be honest, that's what I'm concerned about the most. I feel like these guys are going to get those issues fixed. I'm expecting issues. I feel like they'll get them fixed. I don't know how quickly they'll get them fixed. But I'm just worried that we're going to be getting a lot of veterans from BDO and ArcAge and ESO. They're already salty. They're already toxic. I'm toxic too. Don't worry about it. It's cool. But you know, they're going into this expecting it to fail, and they're going into this expecting it to be a cash grab and all this negative stuff. And I guess that's that's really what I'm worried about, is they're gonna, give the game a bad rep. They're only gonna play it for an hour, refund it on Steam, call it No Man's Bless Online or something like that, and then the game will just take a huge hit. So those are two big issues I'm worried about for launch day after the event. The other thing is that I think we're going to be getting a letter or some type of notification from the community managers about, clarification on subscriptions and stuff like that. I know that's been a heated topic. So expect to see that information released either in the Discord, on the wiki, on the website, in one of those places. And make sure you guys follow all that stuff. If you guys are interested in the skills, there's been a spreadsheet released on Reddit done by Karth and Wizra and a couple other people, viewers and stuff like that, who took snapshots from our videos as emissaries. Make sure you go check that stuff out. I'll put links in the description. But I want everyone to just kind of take a deep breath, okay, guys? That as a developer publishing a game themselves for the first time like this, it's a big undertaking, and I think we need to give them a little bit of credit where it's due. And let's just see what happens in the next couple weeks up to release and how it goes on release in the first release week. I feel like Bless can be a great game, and I feel like we need to give it that chance. So thank you guys again. I hope this wasn't too rambly. My future videos will be more content-based breakdown. I'm usually PvPing a lot on my stream, so that's mostly what I'm going to be focusing on. So my videos in the future on Bless will be more based on that type of stuff. I just had to get this off my chest. I see a lot of people ranting and raving and misinformation, and I don't think anyone or any video has talked really about the vibe from the event. All us emissaries walked away with a more positive mindset about the game than we went into it. I played the Japanese version. I was extremely skeptical, guys. I'm not gonna lie to you, but I walked away from that event feeling more positive about it. And so hopefully I could convey some of that to you guys. I try not to sugarcoat my content or anything like that. I definitely still have more concerns that I'm not going to list, but I'm waiting patiently and optimistically, and I hope you do the same. Jonah out.